So my name is Keith Anderson. I'm the Marketing and Communications Director for Wargaming Europe. I've been in the gaming industry for about 17 years now. I've worked for Wizards of the Coast back in the day on Magic the Gathering. I've worked at Electronic Arts, EA. I've worked for Microsoft Studios, Fable Legends very recently, a couple of independent studios in between. So I've been around a fair bit. It is a pretty awesome year for us because it gives us the chance to, one, celebrate what we've done in the last 5 years, which we talked about a lot in the presentation. But it also gives us the chance to refocus. And this year is really, for us, primarily about our players and bringing our players more into the game, more into our activities, and making sure that as we update the game and make changes to the game, we're listening to them first. So we've got some great marketing events on this year, but we've got some awesome stuff happening in the game that's going to be all about listening to the players and implementing changes that they want into World of Tanks. Essentially rebuilding a lot of functionality from the ground up based on their feedback. So making World of Tanks ready for the next generation of Tanks players, which is really important to us. And you saw the start of that today with 9.14, when we talked about the physics engine and the new sound. That's quite a big change to take the physics engine, rework it entirely, and put a brand new physics engine in the game. But it shows you, it's a sign of what we're doing this year on Tanks. And this comes from two things. One is we love our players. We know how important they are, and with it, for the last 5 years, they've been one of the most loyal audiences out there in gaming, and we thank them for that. The other thing is that we want to invest in them. We want to make sure that they stay our players and they know that we're going to keep them happy for the years to come. We've got a fantastic community of players. We've got a fantastic development team and a really good culture in wargaming. And when we asked our internal people, all of our wargaming staff, what they wanted, is they wanted us to do more with our players and to focus more on players. So it's not just that it makes sense to do it. Our wargaming staff, when surveyed, said this is what they want to do. So, we're doing it.
Oh, that's cool. The physics engine, I remember that. I remember the first physics engine. I remember the second physics engine. All the funny stuff that happened, all the cool stuff that happened, all the major changes on the road, and now a new physics engine is again really. How is it going to ramp things up?
Well, okay, so I'm not the development guy to talk about physics engines. Chat with one of the producers about that. Yeah. But it will give you things like better momentum, and it will basically improve how your light and medium tanks handle, giving them a better advantage over and more maneuvers that they can do in the battlefield, for instance, over what the heavier, slower tanks can do. So those are just two examples of some of the significant changes that will come through this new physics engine. And our producers will fill you in more on what potential there is for a brand new engine in the game. So we're developing right now what the Mark 1 is going to look like when we bring it into game, and what we're going to do with it. So we've got no announcements yet on exactly how we're going to implement it, but we will be celebrating this tank, absolutely, in game through events, and we'll also be creating a series of events that will lead up to the Mark 1 event in September. So players can go on a journey with us in the game, in the events we're at, through Tanks in Devon, through Tankfest, through Gamescom, that will correlate with a journey as they play through the game and do in-game events that take them on the path through the year. And then, obviously towards September, we'll be talking a lot more about what the Mark 1 in-game actually means and what players can expect. But no news on that yet, but it's coming.
There has to be the German Goliath.
Well, we have to see what the dev team has in mind for that. But it definitely poses new opportunities for them, right? Well, it's challenges, opportunities, same thing. Because, for instance, the Mark 1 tank, it had a turret on either side. So it didn't have a turret that turned in the middle and one gun, so you could fire like left and right, port to starboard. So that definitely presents some challenges in how to make it work. So the dev team are working on that now. Yeah, so if you look at all the old photos of the Mark 1 when it was first unveiled, it was unveiled in London. There was a really big event around that. You can see the first Mark 1 in these old photos in the centre of the capital. We felt it was only appropriate that we create an event in London with the Mark 1 tank 100 years on. So we're working with the Tank Museum. We're working, so Wargaming are proud to be a sponsor of this event alongside them. And we're going to make sure it's a pretty awesome event for our players and for our community. whether they're online or at the event with us. Yeah, I suppose it did. You know, I think there's a couple of things that play into that, and one is the PS4 for us in Europe especially is growing rapidly in markets that weren't console heavy before. So for instance, Germany has never been a great console market, but the PlayStation 4 is growing very rapidly in Germany, and it's a great market for us. So, you know, I think there's two things here. One is our game's great, it's got a lot better, and we also know how to talk to players about what's in the game and what they can expect. So we've got better at, you know, communicating what Tanks is about. We've had fantastic support from Sony. They love the game and the opportunity it presents, so they've been behind us. And PlayStation 4 has been doing very well in growth markets for us. So all those things came together, and we've had a fantastic start.